A lot has been getting exposed in the media recently, especially when it comes to how women are treated in the entertainment industry. A lot of us saw how the Diddy trial played out, and a lot of you may have even seen the Diddy documentary that released on Netflix called The Reckoning. Me, myself, I've only seen the first episode, but I was inspired to touch on several topics just based on that first episode alone. But in today's chat, I want to talk to you about why people see such bad behavior going on in the entertainment industry and yet do nothing about it. If that is a topic you are interested in chatting more about, make sure you stay tuned. The main trigger for this topic is when I heard Joy Dickerson-Neal speaking about how she wanted to go up against Diddy in trial for the way that he had done some bad things to her. But when she went about asking people if they would help her to testify against him, a lot of people actually turned their nose up at her or said, no, I don't want to do that, or no, I can't do that because X, Y, and Z. And I want to talk about the reasons why people won't step up and the real reason why people allow bad behavior in the entertainment industry to go on for as long as they do. One of the main points that was brought up in this first episode of The Reckoning is the fact that Diddy was known to throw the hottest parties in the city, and he was very popular, and he brought out all the stars. So of course, people wanted to be a part of that. When Joy Dickerson-Neal was asking people to help her by testifying against Diddy, basically the main reason why people did not stick up for her and help, the main sentiment was, well, if I help you, then I can't get into those parties. And how sad is that, right? So the main reason why bad behavior is allowed to go on as long as it does in the entertainment industry is simply because people do not want to lose their access, and they don't want to lose access to the networks of the people who are powerful, of the higher ups, of the people who would be considered gatekeepers. That is the main reason why bad behavior is allowed to happen and continue within the entertainment industry. So this is definitely something that keeps a lot of people quiet within the industry. And unfortunately, like I said, it's the main reason why bad behavior continues. People do not want to lose their access to the network, to the parties, to the power, to the money, to the opportunities. People are afraid of losing their spot in the social ladder. They're afraid of coming forward, pissing off the wrong people, and potentially getting blackballed. This is definitely a real fear, and I've actually had my own experiences with something like this where I felt like if I didn't participate in a way that people wanted me to and how they silently expected me to participate, then I would be uninvited from parties. People would stop asking me to work with them. I would not get paid for my projects, or if I did something that might have been a little questionable or it was in line with what everybody else was doing, but it's kind of like damning information, like people can use certain things against you, or they'll try to, in order to kind of strong arm you into doing what they want you to do for no money, at the risk of being exposed for something that might be embarrassing. That kind of stuff happens all the time. Now, to me, it happened on a lesser level. I think it happened on a more common level, which is, people will try to make advances at you. And it's pretty much understood that you partake and you give in to these advances if you are serious about your career, especially as a woman, right? For women being in the industry, especially if you are beautiful and especially if you're able to connect yourself and attach yourself to a lot of big name people, unfortunately, it becomes predatory where the men will see how beautiful you are. They'll see who you're connected to, or they just like the way you look and they like to collect beautiful women. They will make it a game. They will make it a point to try to get you, to acquire you, to be with you in that way. And they'll do it a lot of times under the guise of, I can help to advance your career. Or if you do this, I'll introduce you to so-and-so. If you do this, I'll give you this production. If you do this, I'll put you on stage with X, Y, and Z. It happens all the time. Like I said, it happened to me on a lesser level, but I've definitely been in situations where, we start out working, we're all cool, we're buddy, and I'm recording songs over people's productions. And the next thing you know, when I ask about, okay, what are the next steps for us to release? Oh, well, it'll be free for you, baby. Just keep hanging out with me and doing da 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 da. And then I reject and I say, I'm not really into that, or I'm seeing someone, or I would like to keep this professional, no matter what answer I give them, right? If the answer is no, then suddenly the conversation flips to, oh, all right, well, that's cool. We ain't got to do what you don't want to do. But, now that beat that was free that we were collaborating on, now it's $15,000 a pop. It's $20,000 a pop. And good and gosh darn well, I do not have $15,000, $20,000. That is why people get into those predicaments. We don't have the money. Things are marked up to crazy prices in the industry, and people know that artists don't have money. So it's a way to take advantage of us. So all of that aside, because that really is a separate conversation from what I want to focus on today, but that's just an example of how people will use their power and their influence to get an artist to do what they want them to do. And the same thing goes for anybody else who's trying to climb the social ladder. They're trying to climb to success, not just in music, like any industry, really. You are afraid of who you are rubbing shoulders with if you're going to annoy them or offend them. And if you offend them, the industry can be very cliquish. It can be very political. You are ousted out of certain circles, and you are denied certain access to events and parties and opportunities, like I said. So people will allow bad behavior. People will allow the advancements. People will allow the discomfort if it gives them a greater chance of tapping into that network of the people that they perceive to be the big wigs in the industry. So then the question becomes like, if I make the wrong people mad, they'll cut me off from parties and opportunities. They'll block me from getting paid. They'll block me from getting certain awards, right? If we know this happens, how do I avoid it? And I really wish that I could give you a clear-cut answer on that, but unfortunately, there is no clear-cut way on how to avoid this. The best advice that I could give you, anytime I've been put in a situation that made me uncomfortable, or somebody was dangling something in my face to try to get me to act outside of my morals and outside of my character, anytime I've been in those situations, I looked at what it was that these people were actually offering me. And I had to have a real talk with myself, like, the thing that they're offering me, do I need these people to make this happen? Now, on the scale that they're doing it, the answer might be yes, I can't. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't have the network that these people have. But if I strip it down to the core, to the foundation of what it is that they have that I don't have, it boils down to a skill typically, right? So for myself, I feel like the best thing I could have possibly done for myself, especially as a woman, is to learn how to record myself, is to learn how to use Pro Tools and Logic. And I'm sure Ableton is the same, and Studio One, and there's a bunch of other recording programs out there, right? The best thing I could have done for myself is to acquire the skills that I need to get myself along, to push myself along the way. I have heard horror stories about ladies who don't know how to record themselves, ladies who don't have any concept of producing a record, to make a beat, to make an instrumental, right? They'll get with these guys who do know how to record, or they are producers, and the guys will try to get certain things out of the women physically, right? And the premise is, well, you don't know how to do this. I'm the only one who knows how to do this, which we know is not true, right? But they'll position it as, I am the best that you're going to get. I know how to do this and you don't. I'm here right now. You don't know anybody else who does this. Where else can you go? Give me this and I'll make it easy for you to have that. That's how they position it. And I've heard stories of women being put in crazy positions because they were just trying to make some music, but now they got to go find somebody else to record them or to produce for them because Buddy got weird. Buddy got weird. And there are so many stories like that, even for men too, right? Where powerful women in the industry, they have access, they have accolades, they have resources and money, whatever, that some artist needs. And they will dangle those resources, they will dangle those skills in front of you. So the best advice I could give you is to build up on your skills. So I may not be the best producer, but I have a basic understanding of how to produce a record and how to make a beat. I could do it. I don't have the patience to do it, but if I absolutely had to make sure that nothing was going to stop my access. Nothing was going to stop my progression in the music industry, me recording and making music. And if I kept running into the same issue of weird producers, trying to shut down me making music by taking away their production, then I would be like, you know what? Bet. I don't need you then. I know how to record myself. I know how to make a beat. Shoot, I can get a beat off of YouTube. And quiet as it's kept, a lot of ladies would prefer to just go lease a beat off of YouTube versus trying to make that personal connection with a producer, because so many of them are so weird all the time. Not all the time, but there's just too many of them, and too many go unchecked, right? So the best advice I could give you is learn how to do it yourself. The videographer was going to charge you $200 to do a music video or a photo shoot or something. Then all of a sudden you rejected their advances and the price went up to like $500, $1,000. Get on YouTube and figure out how to record yourself. A lot of times you don't even need to do a full music video. You can literally use your phone. The camera quality on most of these phones is good enough for you to get a quick little something for your social media. And that's where everybody is anyway. And that will get you along until you can save up to do a more official music video, right? Learn how to take pictures yourself, learn about lighting, learn about styling, learn how to do your hair, your makeup, all of those things. Not only will it save you money, but if you should find yourself in the unfortunate event that somebody is trying to hold a skill over your head and they're trying to hold your career hostage because they assume that you don't know how to do something, the best thing you can do is learn as much as you can about everything you need to make yourself successful in this industry. And the great thing about the times that we live in now, right? We do have social media, we have the internet, and even with AI, I don't agree with AI, but I definitely understand why people use it. It's cheaper, it's less hassle. You don't have to deal with people's emotions. You don't have to deal with people's manipulations. We have so many tools at our disposal right now that you can make something shake with the free resources that you have available to you today. All you have to do is decide that you're going to learn how to use it, and you're going to keep learning and do the best that you can until something eventually gives, right? That is the best advice I can give you. You can build your fan base. You can find people who like your music. You can use the internet to learn how to do stuff. You just have to have the ambition and the willpower to do it. Inevitably, you are not going to get through this industry without pissing somebody off. It's just going to happen. Somebody is going to hate you for being prettier. Somebody's going to hate you for singing better, for rapping better, for dressing better. Somebody's going to hate you for getting attention that you didn't ask for. And because they wanted that attention from the person that is giving you the attention, they're going to hate on you. They're going to try to throw dirt on your name. They're going to try to lessen your talent and minimize your abilities, right? All kinds of things happen in this industry that is unexplainable until you understand why people do the things they do. And that's just the unfortunate part about it. But the great thing is, if you have the ambition, there are so many tools at our disposal, especially during this time and day and age, that there's really no excuse that we can't make some sort of progress without the bigger people, without the higher ups, without the gatekeepers. Another reason why the bad behavior is allowed to continue in the industry, I kind of touched on it a little bit when I mentioned that people will try to blackmail you or hold certain acts against you. Unfortunately, what happens is a lot of people are doing the same things, but people are keeping quiet about it. People are weaponizing shame. They want you to feel lesser. They want you to feel shameful for some of the things that you've done. And they will hold that shame over you and weaponize it and say things like, if you don't do this for me, then I'm going to tell so-and-so that you smoked, that you were at this party, that we did X, Y, and Z. I'm going to ruin you. I'm going to tell your parents. I'm going to tell your boyfriend, your girlfriend. I'm going to say that you were here and you were doing this with this person. Or if unfortunately you have found yourself in a compromising position and people record, we learned from the Diddy trial that people were secretly being recorded and didn't find out till years later that Diddy had these tapes on them, right? Unfortunately, people will do things like that and say, hey, if you don't act the way I want you to act, I'm going to release this tape. I'm going to give it to TMZ, to some website, some explicit website, and sell it for this amount of money, and you're going to be outed and you're going to be embarrassed. And of course, Self-respecting ladies, especially people who have self-respect, we don't want a certain image out there. We don't want a certain perception. And so we hold on to that guilt and that shame, even though we were a part of these actions. We were doing it because we were under the influence of these people who are way more powerful than us, who have what we want. And we are afraid that if we don't give in, if we don't follow the culture, like I said, we'll be ousted, and then we'll lose these opportunities, and we'll lose all the momentum that we spent so long and so much effort to get in the first place, right? And so the industry will weaponize secrecy to get what they want from you. And that's probably the biggest thing. Like, you hear the phrase all the time, quiet as it's kept. People know what's going on behind the scenes, but everyone's operating under secrecy because nobody wants their dirty secrets, their dirty involvement to be aired out to the public. It's all a threat of perception. If people perceive you the wrong way, then the higher ups don't need to stop your progress. The public will do that. The court of public opinion will stop you from being greater and bigger than you are. So a lot of people operate under the guise of, if I don't say anything, they're not going to say anything. And all I have to do is keep my mouth shut, act like I didn't see anything, act like nothing's wrong, and I'll be fine. And that's unfortunately how much of the bad behavior is, again, allowed to continue within the industry. Overall, the bad behavior is allowed to exist and continue because I don't want to say people don't care, but people don't care about you as much as they care about themselves. And unfortunately, people will deny helping you because it's the right thing to do because it doesn't affect them. And unfortunately, it's likely that something crazy is going to happen to them and they're going to wish that they had help, but no one's going to be there because nobody ever steps for anybody. And not to say nobody ever does, but the ones who did step, the ones who called it out the first time when they saw the wrongdoing, they're called crazy, they're shunned, they are threatened with, all kinds of ruin and all kinds of dirt thrown on their name. It's a lot. Opportunities get taken away, endorsements get taken away, sponsorships get taken away, and a lot of things happen. So unfortunately, people do not care about you as much as they care about themselves. So it stops people from doing the right thing. Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be rich. It looks glamorous. It looks amazing. And it can be. But unfortunately, there is a huge dark side to the industry, as we are seeing with everything that's happening in the climate right now. And not even just on the entertainment front, but even politically. We are seeing a lot of things getting exposed and a lot of dirty, nasty, disgusting things that have been happening behind the scenes that a lot of people knew about, but said nothing. And that's why the bad behavior gets to continue. Everyone's trying to save themselves. Everyone is holding on to secrets because they are ashamed. They are guilty. They don't want their public perception to be swayed, because when public perception sways, the public turns on you in the court of public opinion, right? And that's how bad behavior is able to thrive in an industry, or even politically, if you catch my drift. So if you were wondering why bad things continue to happen and people don't speak up and people don't fight against it, I hope that I was able to offer some insight into how things like this happen, into how bad behavior never gets called out. Thank you so much for watching Lex Chat and for tuning in. I really hope that I was able to offer you some great insight into this topic. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And in the comment section, let me know what you want to chat about next. But until then, my name is LexC. Peace. Counting on my blessings, I got several. Living on a high, I call it treble. Yes, I'm on the rise, I call it pedestal. Level up and life becomes incredible. Money comes with everything I do. If I got it green, I turn it blue. Check it. I got money, showers. How you gonna hate on me when you ain't got no power? Life is a test. If you never learn a lesson, you never progress. You gotta invest, otherwise you only get the what ifs and regrets. I'm on a whole nother level. I got the link with the bezel. Diamonds on me like a medal. I know you mad, I never settle. From the